Starting at number 10, we have the jinn. According to Islamic theology, jinn are invisible entities who roamed the earth before Adam, the first human being, was created. Now, they were created by God out of a mixture of fire or smokeless fire. There are many types of jinn, including those that can shapeshift, those that can fly, as well as ones that can resemble animals. And now it's been said that the jinn can see us, but we can't see them. And sometimes your pets can see them, so they start acting really strange, and they'd be staring at something, and you're like, what are you looking at? Having no idea that they can see a jinn. Now, what makes this even scarier is that sometimes jinn, depending on how they feel that day, can call out to you, and they can sound like one of your relatives or close friends. Then there's the recording angels. Karaman Ketibin, or the recording angels, are also another pretty scary thing in Islamic belief. Not that the beings themselves are scary, but what they do can sometimes leave a person terrified depending on what they actually do. So let me explain. So there's two types of recording angels, and they record everything that a person does. Like, I mean everything, and not just like an overview summary of what they did or said, but really a detailed, in-depth report. It's the ultimate biography. So if you think about it, you just look back into your life at all the bad stuff that you've done, whatever it may be, the Karaman Ketibin angels, yeah, they recorded it even though you thought no one saw you or thought no one heard you. And that's what makes this earn a spot on this list. Number 8, we have Dajjal. Now, Dajjal is known as the false messiah, so similar to Christian theology, and also known as like a liar or a deceiver. And in the Muslim world, believers say that he will create a lot of destruction by lies and having supernatural powers. Other religions know this as the Antichrist, who will deceive the entire world. Now, not just the fact that Dajjal is believed to be a master deceiver is what makes him creepy, but even the description of him and his appearance can give you nightmares. Like, Dajjal will be blind in one eye. In Islamic tradition, the Prophet Muhammad referred to Dajjal as Al-Awar, which means blind with one eye. Now, the Prophet Muhammad said that Dajjal's right eye would look like a floating grape, and its left eye will be defective in some way. Now, certain Islamic traditions, however, depict Dajjal having one eye. And the biggest fitna, or the testing period, in the history of humanity is associated with Dajjal. Yeah, that's pretty creepy. Next up, we have the Munkar and Nakir. Munkar and Nakir in Islamic belief are two angels who test the faith of people who pass away in their graves. According to Al-As-Sunnah, Munkar and Nakir ask a person who dies who is their Lord and what religion they follow and who is the Prophet. And a believer would answer these questions, but an unbeliever cannot answer them. Now, those who are deemed righteous will say, of course, Allah or God, and mention the Prophet Muhammad is a messenger, and they'll be allowed to rest in peace until the final day of judgment. But those who don't answer or answer differently, or who don't truly believe, will continue being punished like while they're passed away, waiting for the final judgment. Now, it's like that pre-punishment phase. You know, like when you do something really bad and your parents say to you, you know, wait till I get home to deal with you. And you know, that time that you're waiting for your mom or dad to get home to deliver whatever punishment they're going to be delivering, you know, sometimes that period is more punishment than the actual punishment. Now, it may not be that way in this scenario, but the idea that loved ones may not be actually resting in peace can be a pretty scary thought. Next up at number 6, we have the smoke. Okay, so among the major signs mentioned by the Prophet Muhammad is the smoke. And Muslims believe that God refers to this event in the Quran saying this: "Then wait you for the day when the sky will bring forth a visible smoke covering the people. This will be a painful torment." And that's in the Quran, Surah 44, verses 10 to 11. There's also a hadith where the Prophet Muhammad said, "Verily, your Lord has warned you concerning 3 matters. The smoke that overtakes the believer like a cold and overtakes the disbeliever and makes him swollen until it comes out of his ears." So just imagine for a moment, it's all pitch black, you can't see anything, and you're coughing, you're not able to breathe properly, and your body starts swelling up, and you're in so much pain, and you can't make it stop. Very creepy. Halfway to number 5, we have earthquakes. So we all know the effects that an earthquake can have, and what makes them so destructive is that no matter what structure you've built on land, it's no match for an earthquake. It definitely will collapse. Not to mention that earthquakes in large bodies of water are known to cause tsunamis. Now in the Hadith Bukhari volume 9 book 88 it says, "The hour will not be established till earthquakes will increase in number." So when you take a look at the stats, between the 11th century to the 18th century there have been 64 earthquakes, right? And in the 19th century there have been 47 earthquakes, and in the 20th century there have been approximately 319 earthquakes, and then in the 21st century there has been approximately 380 earthquakes. So earthquakes definitely vary in magnitude, and not all of them are deadly. However, Muslims believe that we are living in the end time signs right now, since the increase of earthquakes is believed to be a major sign of the end in Islam. Yet no one is certain how much more the frequency of earthquakes will increase, or even how much their severity will increase. Okay, moving on down to number 4, we have the angels of death. So let's get into this one. Naziat and Nashitat are two classes of death angels that are subordinate to Azrael, who is the archangel of death. Now these angels are responsible for taking the souls of those who pass away. Naziats are ordered to take the lives of unbelievers by force, and the Nashitats take their life away gently. So the question always is are you going to go swift and painless, or is it going to be slow and painful? That's a creepy thought. Number 3 brings us to Iblis. Now Iblis in Islam is the name of the devil, which is a counterpart to the Jewish and Christian Satan. Now he's a demonic creature, and he runs wild on humanity to spread evil and misery, and in some cases the name Shaitan is used to refer to Iblis specifically. Now at the time of creation, God ordered the angels to bow down in obedience before Adam, and Iblis refused, saying that he was better because he was created from fire and Adam was created out of clay. So because he acted so prideful and disobeyed God's commandments, God threw Iblis out of heaven, and his punishment was postponed until the day of judgment. And Iblis, who became the ruler of the jinn and also became a jinn himself, he tempts people to do evil. And according to some Islamic beliefs, apparently only animals like donkeys can see Iblis, and Iblis sometimes appear as a human form to carry out certain tasks like recruiting other followers. So yeah, you may run into someone on the street and could be the devil. Number 2 is jinn possession. So I spoke about jinn before, right, in this episode. Now it's one thing to see a jinn and to hear one, but it's another thing to be under the control of one. Now not all jinn are evil according to popular Islamic belief. However, the scariest thing about the jinn who are evil is that they can actually possess human beings. Oftentimes people who are possessed by jinns may not necessarily be in a whole lot of pain or look like how people look in the movies. However, individuals may get super angry or feel like they're forced to act in a certain way without being able to stop themselves. So exorcisms gotta happen. You gotta go through that whole process, and some possessions definitely are very violent, where people's eye colors change and other physical changes happen in their body. Definitely creepy. And the final scariest thing in the religion of Islam is hell, or Jahannam, is the ultimate punishment for non-believers. After the disbeliever is no longer under the punishment of Munkar and Nakir, their punishment will then continue in hell. But this time, they'll be alive and fully able to experience their punishment. Hell is described as being extremely boiling hot, and the suffering will continue for disbelievers as long as God sees fit. And it's said that despite the intense physical pain experienced in hell, the worst of all the torments is people's separation from God. At number 10, there's a teaching that hell exists now. So hell exists at the present time and will continue to exist forever. It will never die down, and the people that inhabit hell will remain in it forever. Now, no one will come out of hell except sinful believers who believed in the oneness of God in this life and also believed in the specific prophets sent to them. Another teaching about hell is the Sufi interpretation. Sufis, they developed a sort of metaphysical interpretation of Jahannam, or hell, in Islam. Hell is still a place where sinners in this world are going to be sent to be punished, but Sufis have given some other characteristics to the notion of hell. According to Ibn Arabi, the terms hell and heaven refer in fact to distance from and proximity to God respectively. So if you're closer to God, that's heaven, and the further away from God God, that's hell. The teaching at number 8 is of the Ahmadi interpretation. According to Ahmadi Islam, the places that people go to in the afterlife are images of human beings' own spiritual life during their lifetime. And the fire in hell is a manifestation of sins. The main purpose of hell is therefore regarded to purge people from all of their evil deeds. The teaching at number 7 is the 7 stages. So Jahannam or hell is traditionally believed to be divided in 7 stages, and those are as follows. The stage where the fire is for sinners among the Muslims. There's also a place for the sinners among Christians, and then also another destination for the sinners that live among the Jewish people. There's a stage where the burning fire is for renegades, and also a place for witches and fortune tellers is another stage. There's another fire for disbelievers, and also there's a bottomless pit for hypocrites like Pharaoh, who is talked about in the Quran as well as in the Bible, and also for people who disbelieved in Isa or Jesus's miracle of the table filled with food that came down from heaven, or for Muslims who are outwardly believers but inwardly they're unbelievers. There's another teaching about hell being alive. So there's some scholars like Al-Ghazali and the 13th century Muslim scholar Al-Qurtubi who describe hell as this massive conscious being rather than a place to go. And they base it on the verses in the Quran, like Surah 67 verses 7 that says, when they are thrown into it, they hear from it a dreadful inhaling while it boils up. And also in the Quran, Surah 50 verses 30, there's a passage that says this, on the day we will say to hell, have you been filled? And it will say, are there some more? So based on passages like that, there are many scholars who believe that hell also has some sort of consciousness. There's so many different beliefs and information about hell according to the religion of Islam. We did another video that's dedicated to all sorts of information, and that link, I'll have it below in the video description section. I definitely want you to check out that one. We've also done similar videos about various different topics like this, so definitely check out the video description section. I'll have some interesting links to other videos also that you'll definitely will enjoy and help expand your knowledge. The teaching at number 5 is that hell is big. Like it's massive. The Hadith, it gives some more details about the description of hell. For example, it's perceived to be so deep that if a stone was to be thrown down into hell, it would fall for 70 years straight before it ever reached the bottom. Also, the span of each of hell's walls is equivalent to a distance that covers a walking journey of 40 years. So imagine walking for 40 years. I can't even imagine walking for 40 minutes. All right, so we talked about the size of hell and some other beliefs about it. There's also mentions of the forces of hell. And this teaching is that in hell, the people that are thrown into hell are going to be tormented by Zabania, and these are the forces of hell. Jahannam or hell is depicted as an abyss that has scorching winds, and also the As-Sirat bridge is going to be above. And by the way, that is the bridge that every single human being must cross on Judgment Day according to the Islamic belief. Also, the gates of hell are guarded by Malik and his subordinate angels. And then in the Quran, Surah 4 verses 168, you'll find a passage that says this, indeed, those who disbelieve and commit wrong or injustice, never will Allah forgive them, nor will He guide them to a path. Also, where is hell anyways? You got to know that there is no specific mention from the Quran or any of the sayings of the Prophet Muhammad that actually pinpoint a specific location of hell. And no one knows the exact place. Muslims believe that only God knows that. And due to some of the difference in translations and languages and just the different linguistic styles, when some scholars look at the Hadith, they believe that hell is in the heavens, but others believe that hell is actually in the lower parts of the earth. But either way, that is a topic still up for debate. There's not a 100% census in the Muslim community of where in fact hell actually is. Number 2 brings us the 7 gates. Now, like I talked about the 7 stages, there's also the 7 gates that are mentioned in the Quran. And that is found in Surah 15 verses 43 to 44, and it says, "And indeed, hell is a promised place for them all. It has 7 gates. For every gate is of them a portion designated." It's believed that each gate is going to have its own allotted share of those who will be punished in hell, and each will enter according to their deeds and assigned a level of hell accordingly. Also, when unbelievers are brought to hell, its gates will be wide open and they're going to pass through it and stay in there forever. Now, for the final teaching of hell according to the religion of Islam, we looked at various different schools of thoughts in Islam, so it's not just one specific teaching that we're looking at. But anyways, this teaching is that stones and stubborn unbelievers make the fuel of hell. In the Quran, Surah 66 verses 6, it says, "O you who have believed, protect yourself and your families from a fire whose fuel is the people and stones, over which are appointed angels, harsh and severe. They do not disobey Allah in what He commands them, but do what they are commanded." Now, there's another source of fuel for hell, which is going to be the pagan gods that were worshipped besides the one true God. And now there's another passage that says, "Indeed, you disbelievers and what you worship other than Allah are the firewood of hell. You will be coming to enter it. Had these false deities been actual gods, they would not have come to it, but all are eternal therein." That passage is taken from Surah 21 verses 98 to 99 in the Quran.